Hello, friends. Welcome back to Honoring the Journey. I'm Leslie Neese, your host and also tour guide on yet another beautiful journey that we get to go on together today with a new friend. His name is David Hayward. You may know him as the Naked Pastor. He does those little cartoons that you see that are just so challenging and beautiful and I don't know, thought-provoking. That's how I found you, David, was through that. Welcome to Honoring the Journey. I can't wait to hear more about your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And hello, everyone.
Okay, first of all, I have to know why Naked Pastor? Why do you call yourself
Okay,
Naked Pastor?
so it's pretty easy. If anybody has any kind of an imagination or can think metaphorically, naked pastor basically means I got the name while I was a real pastor of a real congregation, a real church, and I was blogging, and I thought I wanted people to see behind the curtain, like really see what goes on in the ministry and in the church and just to be real and raw and transparent and honest and just totally out in the open. So I chose the moniker Naked Pastor. And, I had no idea it would become what it became.
Yeah.
And so, I was flying under the radar for years. And then it started getting more and more popular. And
Yeah.
Naked Pastor then started to become a little bit of a problem, but it's gotten to the point now where I think I'm stuck with it.
Yeah. You might be, but I
Yeah.
actually love that. I think that's so good. It's just such an authenticity. You're like, I got nothing to hide. Here I
Okay.
am. Yeah, here I am.
Yeah. Here
Okay.
we are.
That's beautiful.
Unadorned.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of the most modest people I know. Like I'm very modest. I'm kind of shy. And a lot of say, "Oh, I'm disappointed you're not naked," and like this kind of thing. And it's like, no, you're not going
Well,
to get that with me.
yeah, just metaphorically. I love that. That's good. That's a really good explanation. I kind of figured that's what it was, but I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to ask him that question." So
Yeah.
you say you were a pastor. Well, why don't you just tell me a little bit about your journey? What was it like growing up, and did you grow up in church, and how did you get into ministry?
Yeah. So let's read the last page. I left the ministry in 2010, and because of the situation where I still live in the same town.
Okay.
Um, I it was the same as leaving church for me. It was the
Okay.
way it worked out. And so that was back in 2010. And I'd been blogging as Naked Pastor for 5 years up to that point. I thought, well, let's just see what happens if I put all my eggs in the Naked Pastor basket. Let's see what happens. And so I've been doing Naked Pastor ever since,
Mhm.
but full time. But up to that point, I was baptized. I was born in Anglican, baptized Anglican. My parents were both saved at a Billy Graham crusade in Toronto.
Ooh.
I was raised in we moved around a lot. My dad was transferred a lot as a police officer. So we went to whatever church was convenient. So I was never dedicated or devoted to any one denomination. I call myself my own ecumenical movement because just been to so many churches. And I ended up Baptist and then Pentecostal. I went to a Pentecostal Bible college in the United States. That's where I met Lisa, my wife. I went to an evangelical seminary in Boston, Gordon Conwell, and then I went to Toronto University to start my PhD in New Testament studies. Ended up at McGill University in Montreal, got my ministry degree, and then ended up
Wow.
getting ordained as a Presbyterian minister and served there for many, many years. And then I switched to the Vineyard Church
Mm.
uh, and was a pastor of a Vineyard Church for many years until I left the ministry in 2010. So that's my story in a
In a
nutshell.
nutshell. I love it. Well, okay, so being a pastor,
Yeah.
and wow, what an amazing education you've had. So that's
Mm.
encouraging. I love having people on here who have studied extensively, especially the Bible and New
Yeah.
Testament theology and everything. I feel like I have so much to learn from people like you, and I love, love, love it. So, what exactly started your journey of deconstruction? Because I know you're a pretty big voice and encouragement in the deconstruction community, or anybody who's really looking to have spiritual freedom.
Mhm.
They seem to kind of navigate towards you. So, what started this journey for you?
Okay. I grew up, became a teenager, and was going to youth group, and I was the kind of guy that was all in. Like I was in the deep end. I always played in the deep end. So youth group, I was totally, totally, totally committed and fanatically. And I have my Bible. I still have my Bibles from my teen years where I've underlined all the verses in different colors and
Different
written
colors. Oh yeah.
and you know, that was me.
Mhm.
And I was like that going through Bible college. It was a Pentecostal Bible college on top of it. So it was very, very conservative
Animated,
theology. Huh?
animated Pentecostal.
Very, yeah, and animated, yeah, but very, very conservative
Yeah.
biblically, theologically. And excuse if you hear noise outside, big machines, there's some
Yeah.
construction happening right in front of my house.
Of course.
Uh,
Yeah. No worries.
uh, I graduated from Bible college and then went to Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary where I took New Testament studies. And so I was taking Greek and Hebrew and Aramaic. I knew all the languages, studying theological French, theological German, so I could start my PhD at Toronto University, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, on my graduation day, I was freaking out on graduation day because I'd been reading a book, and uh, some of your listeners might say, "What was the book? What was the book?" So I'm going to tell you to
Yeah.
save the hassle. It was by James Breach called "The Silence of Jesus." It was just a little obscure book. I don't think it made a
I've never
splash.
heard of it. Yeah.
No, no, no. I don't think it made a splash. I was down in Harvard Yard and in a bookstore and saw this in the bookshelf at a bookstore, and the title intrigued me, "The Silence of Jesus." So I picked it up and bought it and read it because I was done all my studies. I was done all my essays and all my papers and all my presentation. All was done. So I had spare time. So I read this book and it devastated me. I suddenly wasn't sure I believed in the inspiration of Scripture,
Oh,
that it was divinely,
yeah.
dropped out of the
So
sky.
how come? What happened? What did it say?
Well, it just did a really, really good job of examining the life of Jesus
Mhm.
and the sayings of Jesus, so-called sayings of Jesus, and which in the scholarly realm, in the New Testament scholarly realm, and the historical Jesus realm, are highly disputed. And then he came to the conclusion that there are about 7 sayings of Jesus that are pretty reliable.
Hmm.
Just 7. You know
Just
what I mean?
7 out of all of
Anyway,
that?
whether or not he's right or wrong is
Right,
not
right.
the
But it
point.
got you thinking. Yeah.
It got me wondering, wait a minute. And it totally, so for me, the foundation of everything I believed up to that point was the Bible. And that had just been pulled out from under me.
That's the
Like that.
scariest feeling in the world, isn't it?
It was totally traumatizing. I was freaking out, and Lisa was like, I had my graduation robe on and everything,
Mm.
and was to go to the graduation ceremony. And I'm freaking out. Lisa grabs me by the shoulder and says, "You've got to go to graduation."
You just graduate, okay? We can deal with this later.
Kind of wake me up from my panic attack.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I had to go graduate. And that was what launched my deconstruction way back then.
Really?
And my
Wow.
deconstruction was kind of like a glacial melt. It just took
Mhm.
decades, literally decades
Yeah.
to come to fruition. Yeah.
But that was when you first started questioning and
Yeah.
right as you're graduating. So you get into the ministry.
Yeah.
Did you continue to kind of pull on that thread, David, or did you kind of
Mhm.
put it away for a while?
Well, it was more kind of pulled on me. No, I didn't put it
Oh,
away. It was such a devastating blow to my uh, dogma, my thinking
your
way of,
certainty. Yeah, I mean, the
yeah, my
certainty is so
certainty.
important
Yeah,
in faith, which is weird because those are opposites. But you know what I mean? Like I feel like that when that gets pulled out, when the Bible gets pulled out, it's a free fall. And
yeah.
it's very scary and lonely. Were you lonely in this? Could you talk to Lisa? Were you
Oh,
talking to
no, yeah,
anybody?
Lisa and I were very much hip and hip all the way.
Oh,
But it wasn't until I left the ministry and we left the church that showed up as a problem in our marriage. But up to this point, we were side by side as we kind of deconstructed together. And so, yeah, it was the way I dealt with it was, wait a minute. Okay, if the scriptures aren't inspired, divinely inspired, aren't they basically written by men, human documents that are attempting to
right.
explain reality and are
Their views of God.
yeah,
Yeah.
and are attempting to point to the truth. What do I do with that now? So I wasn't willing to just throw them out and say, "Oh, I was duped. It's all a farce. It's all pretend. It's all make
Yeah.
believe." I wasn't willing to do that, but neither was I willing to ignore
Yeah.
this sort of
You can't.
light coming on moment, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I decided to wait for clarity and
And it took a
just
while.
the gate, and I was constantly studying and researching and praying and contemplating and writing in my journal. And like, it was a constant, the theological angst I felt was just constant and enormous and painful because I was trying to figure out, how does this all work? Because I found the Bible had played an important role in my life, one I'm thankful for. But on the other hand, uh, it didn't, it wasn't what I thought it was.
Mhm.
So I had to sort of revisit and reinterpret. Okay, what is the Bible really, and what how do I continue going forward, appreciating the Bible for what it actually is rather than
Mhm.
what I have been taught it is, kind of thing.
Can we back up for a second? Because you said something that I thought was really, I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern in a lot of the people that I have on my show, people
Uh-huh.
that I coach, because I'm a deconstruction coach. Like, I am seeing, you said something about how you were fully, like, you were 100%.
Mhm.
Like, you were in the front row, ready to get, like, probably ready to teach at any moment. At any given minute, you probably could have just opened your Bible and taught him. I feel like so many people in this deconstruction space are coming from that too. Like, I feel like the people that deconstruct aren't people who aren't taking it seriously. I feel like they're the ones who really did take it seriously. And then something, kind of like a glitch in the matrix, if you will, kind of like made them go, I don't know. And so do you think that is that common? Do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. The deeper, the more invested you are, the more serious is your deconstruction going to be.
Yeah. Which is, I think, why it's so difficult for many of us, and maybe you've probably been told this too, to be told that you were never really one of us. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
well,
You have no idea. When somebody says to me, you didn't really take your faith seriously." I mean, come, like,
if you would have
oh,
known me.
or it's obvious you've never read the Bible. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, these people do not understand what
They
they're
don't.
talking
Do you think it's fear? Do you think they're just like afraid because they're like, if it happened to them, it could happen to me? Is that what's happening? I don't understand. Or they're so used to having these perfectly wrapped up with a bow answers
about. Mhm.
that this doesn't, it like does something they can't even fathom.
Yeah, when you center yourself, you can always come up with an excuse for other people's behavior or
Mm.
explain it away.
Experience too. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that verse where it says, "Those who've left, it's proof that they were never really of
Yeah.
us."
Yeah.
Those verses, um, they stick with you.
They
That
do.
I know a lot of people who like Bible verses are like chronic illness. It's
Oof.
like that doesn't go away. It's very, very, very bizarre. How many people I know that Bible verses still haunt them,
Same.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's tough. And it's like you can explain it. in like, well, I really was. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I was probably the most annoying evangelist that there was. Like if you sat next to me on a plane, you were getting a Bible, you were getting a sermon, because I honestly think too, and this is another thing I've seen, maybe you've seen this too. People who tend to deconstruct are the people who are like highly sensitive, very intuitive, and very lots of empathy. And so when you believe the way that we are taught to believe, that if they don't receive Jesus, they're going to go to hell, like it lights a fire in people like me and probably you. Like, we need to get the word. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if people don't know this, they're going to die and burn in hell. Um, and so I feel like if there's any chance that that could be not true, we're going to dig for that because it's so much to carry. Does that make sense to you? Does that resonate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, deconstruction, many of the people that I interact with are people who were all in.
Yeah.
And I thought of think of that verse, always be prepared,
With an answer
have
for the hope.
a reason for the hope that lies within you. And so you always had to be ready, and always be witnessing. And so, that leaks over into all kinds of areas of our life, including for a lot of people who are deconstructing, that you don't have to change people, and you don't have to constantly be sharing your
Your
ideas.
ideas. Yeah. You
You
don't
know,
have to say
like,
anything anymore. You don't have to convince anybody of anything. There's no eternal consequence anymore,
yeah,
it's scary to let go of that, which was weird because it was scarier to hold it, but like letting go of it was like terrifying.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
initially. Then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, this is the freedom Jesus talked about. I'm free of the fear now, but it takes a long time to get there.
I say often, I wouldn't be who I am now unless I was who I was then. So
Mhm.
that part of my life is an essential
Right.
part of my story.
Same.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't make any sense to anybody right now unless, like, if I tore out those chapters out of shame or guilt or embarrassment or, you know, privacy or whatever, if I told that part of my story out of my life, I wouldn't be who I am now.
Mhm.
So it's all come together, and that cumulative building of my story through the years has brought me to where I am, for which I'm thankful, you know.
Yeah.
But it was intense, and
Yeah.
so that will always be there. It'll always be there. I'll always have memories. And I remember one time watching West Wing, and the president was um, getting therapy. Psychotherapist was flown in, and he would meet with a therapist in the Oval Office, and he was dealing with post-traumatic stress, I guess. And he said, what we want is get to the point where we can remember without reliving.
Mhm.
And so, and that really struck home.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people, when they're deconstructing, they remember and they're reliving, like they feel it all over again.
I mean, definitely. It's very somatic. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
body
oh,
things
very,
going
very.
on because trauma shows up in your body, you
Yeah.
know? So,
So, and the point is not to forget, but to get to that point where you can remember without reliving. And I see people get there, but can take some time for
takes
sure.
time and a lot of therapy. Yeah, the EMDR has really helped me with that. Like, it's almost like it takes your trauma, that reactive trauma, and it puts it into a part of your brain that's like, oh yeah, I remember that. But you're not like freaked out. I don't know how it works. And it's not hocus pocus. It's science. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like woo woo woo. It is literally science that they have that shows that it can help. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's been helpful to me.
I know a lot of people, some very close to me, who have found it very effective. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially if it's something that's really holding you back from living your life. You're just, living in this trauma circle. It's hard to get out of that. And
Mhm.
it does, you said something else earlier that I loved is these Bible verses are almost like, what did you get? Terminal? Like, it's like,
Bonus. Yeah.
yeah, chronic illness. Like, what are some other verses? Because, like, I literally just today heard from somebody on Facebook, like they don't understand where I'm at, and I don't know how to explain it, and I don't feel like I need to, but when they ask, I'm like, okay, here's where I'm at. And then they're like, well, I don't see it that way. I'm like, I knew you wouldn't. I know how you see it, and I used to see it that way. You know what I mean? So, but the verse that they were asking me about was like, well, how do you explain that verse where Jesus says, wide is the road to destruction and narrow is the way to life and few will find it? How do you explain that? And it was just, I love when they ask me that, because I'm like, how would I explain that? And I had to really think about it. Have you thought of that verse? What would you say to that?
Oh, well, man, I
I
grew up,
know.
the culture I was in was all apocalyptic, like a lot
Me
of
too.
last day stuff, a lot of, the second
Rapture.
coming, the
Mhm.
rapture. So, in fact, that's why I actually got born again the first time.
Of course.
It
Fear.
was because I was scared to
Oh,
death
yeah.
of being left behind. And so all that stuff to do with judgment, and then, all your secrets are going to be, you know, cast on a big Megatron screen for our whole world to see. I know that's not a Bible verse, but
They
some,
put it in there somehow. They figured out how to, yeah, interpret it.
all your secrets are going to be revealed on the last
I
day.
remember that too. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, all that stuff. And it's hard, or those threats of hell, or two will be in a field and one will be left, and all that stuff was burned into my psyche. And
Mhm.
to this day, it's you know it's almost like it's not you. It's almost like
Yeah.
another voice saying,
Yeah.
what if you're wrong about hell?
Yeah. No, I always say, like, Sister Christian, that's who I used to be. They
Oh, yeah.
actually called me that. I was on Survivor and they called me Sister Christian because I was so, like, I was a Christian radio host. I was fully, like, I was there to save people. Like, they were going to hell and I was there to save them. So Sister Christian sits over here, but now deconstructed Leslie sits over here. And
uh,
it's like, I mean, it's so crazy. It's almost like I know two languages. Like, I know the language of the evangelical. I know
oh,
exactly what they think. Like, they
mhm,
think when they tell me, they're like trying to save me now. And I'm like, I know this. I don't need you to tell me this again. What I need is to, connect with you and have you listen to where I'm at. And I don't need you to believe like I believe, but you're asking this question and I'm going to answer it. But it's like these two little
yeah,
things
yeah,
whispering in my ear.
yeah, yeah. I know the language too very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I'm a person, and I believe you are too, who stands kind of in the middle of that. Like, in the middle of those two languages, it's like you're trying to help it. And I really do believe that you are trying to help the church see how
Hmm.
their behavior is affecting the hearts and minds of individuals in the world who may not see the world the way they do.
Hmm.
And you're doing it in such a beautiful way with your art. Um,
Thank you.
but then you also want to help the person who is speaking the language of deconstruction. You want to help them see that what they're doing is not wrong. Like, it's good to ask questions. And I
Mhm.
love that that's what you're doing. So when did this cartoon thing take off? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people assume that when you critique something that you are against it, when in
Mhm.
fact I have a deep love and appreciation for the
Same.
church,
Same.
and theology and Christianity, and so on. But I really do feel that we're being pulled into a new phase, let's say, or an era, or something where um, people are, like, deconstruction's always been going on
Mhm.
for centuries.
Right.
We now have a name for it. It used to be called doubting or backsliding, or whatever.
You're a heathen.
Now it's just questioning.
Mhm.
And if the church would just allow space for that, I think it would see less people migrating away, more people staying because there's a safe place for them to ask their questions and at the same time to enjoy community and so on. But I I don't see very many churches willing to take that challenge. So what I'm trying to do is continue to present that challenge to the church to open its heart and mind towards natural spiritual growth and allow their members to grow beyond adolescence theologically, spiritually. But also to those who are deconstructing to say, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. This is a positive thing.
Yeah.
It's too bad, though, that the only way you could do this was by leaving the church.
A lot of us tried to stay. You know what I mean? Like, I know I did. I stayed a lot longer than I ever thought I would. And I think there was a part of me that was like, if you're going to make change, you got to make it from within. And so I was going to make a change. But the problem is when you start questioning and then you find the answers and they're very different than what you've been taught, like they don't really have a lot of tolerance for your kind. And so it's hard to find your place. And that's when it starts to get difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree. The whole, like I was fortunate in the last church I was at where I felt I had a lot of room to grow and to search and experiment, like to figure things out. And I had a lot of fun experimenting with deconstructing what church looks like too. So it was a dynamic, wonderful congregation that I was a part of. But it got to the point though, where more and more people were reading my blog and more people were writing in with concerns about my theology and so on. And it was just getting to the point where I felt, I'm threatening the welfare of this congregation by staying, and I'm also threatening my own well-being by staying. So it just came time for me to leave so I could continue on my journey. I wish it could have been within the church, but and I still feel like I'm in the game, but I'm not. I don't have the jersey, but I'm still.
I like that.
Being a Nathan.
Yeah, we're like on the bench. Like, shut up, just sit there. Don't say anything.
So it's that's why with deconstruction, like I really and the number one pain point I think a lot of people feel when they leave the church is the lack of community. And man, if there was a place where people could question their beliefs and continue growing in whatever direction they felt they needed to grow in while still in community, that would be wonderful. I provided that in the last church I was at, and raised a lot of eyebrows, but the community itself loved it. In fact, just last Saturday we went to the country market Saturday morning, and there was a woman there who used to be a part of that congregation, and she says, that totally spoiled me for church. Like I miss it so much. It was so wonderful, the community. And now we are vastly different now theologically.
Yeah.
But we were then, and yet we were still within the same community. And so I know it's possible. And she was bemoaning the fact that congregation is no more. It's gone. The church is closed. It no longer exists. And, I hear from several people how wonderful that community was, not because of me, but because
it was real. It was naked.
It was just us being a community, and it's totally possible. And I wish more churches would try it.
Yeah, I wish they would too. I tried to do a group here. I live in Utah, so I'm surrounded by people who are leaving Mormonism or LDS. And I am, ex-evangelical. And I tried to start like a group for people who were leaving just to have some community. And it is so hard to get people to show up. I think number one, they're afraid because it's a group and it's very trigger. It reminds them of church, right? And for another thing, it's like, well, now that I have to go, why would I go? Like, why do I care? a lot of people just want to leave it behind, especially when they leave Mormonism. Many of them become atheists. They're like done. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, how do I find that community? And I coach people through this all the time. I mean, there's all kinds of ways, but like, how do you do it, David? What's your method?
So I love Utah. A a couple of years ago, I was invited to Salt Lake City by a group there called Affirm.
Oh.
.org, and they're all mostly Exmos,
Mm-hmm.
who are gay or trans or something, and LGBTQIA community. And I spoke there, and it was wonderful. And then my son met me there, and we went through Zion National Park.
Mind blowing, right?
Blowing, loved it. But what do I do now? I'll tell you. When I left the ministry and left the church, I was really feeling it. And like I indicated earlier, that's when Lisa's and my marriage went under intense strain because we missed all of a sudden. She went to university to get her nursing degree, 48 years old.
Good for her. Go,
Yep.
Lisa. That's
She
amazing.
graduated when she was 52. And we're very proud of her. She's a nurse now in a palliative care home. She loves it.
Oh, I bet she's so good too.
Yeah. I hope she lives longer than me because I'll get excellent care.
Yeah. Bonus.
So she went to university. I taught for a while English as a second language at the university, and then I was working on Naked Pastor full time. We lost our community, we lost our church, we lost all of our events. You know, we lost all of our support, and we lost all of our friends.
Yeah.
Boom. And our kids had moved away recently, so we're empty nest as well. And so I was feeling it to the point where Lisa one day looked at me and said, "You need help." So I got a therapist, I got a coach, et cetera, did all the work. But I was just really, really hurting and missing people and community and sense of purpose and all that. So I started an online community called The Lasting Supper, which is for people who are deconstructing, and it's small, and I want it to stay small, but it's still going to this day. But I also tried other things, like I tried Toastmasters, I tried running, I tried CrossFit, I tried, but nothing comes close to what the church is able to offer, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I was watching some documentaries on cults and people who were leaving cults, and I was shocked by the common thread was all these people are in tears because they missed the intensity of intimacy they felt in these communities, even though they were getting totally abused and everything. They still missed the intensity of community. And I started putting two together. Wait a minute, maybe this is kind of what comes with this kind of intense kind of Christianity, is this sense of intense intimacy that's almost cult-like.
Yeah.
And so I had to re-examine, okay, is that even healthy? Is that normal? Do we want that? So on and so forth. So it was a whole re-examining of that whole thing. So now what Lisa and I do is we actively worked to make a list of people that we wanted to restore friendship with or start a friendship with. And so now we have 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 couples.
Nice.
That we can get
You're
together.
intentional with, yeah.
Yeah.
And you talk about deeper things, and you can, so you can be yourself. You don't have to be
yourselves. And they're
police your language.
Right. So, and that works for us, but still that sense of a larger community of people where you feel the support and
Oh,
um,
there's nothing like it. And
there's nothing.
there is something too about being in a room. I remember being at a Women of Faith thing once, and I just remember being so overwhelmed with emotion, thinking, everyone in here sees the world the way I do. And that's intoxicating. That is like, we all have this. I don't have to pretend. I can just be who and then the messages, of course, we're just reinforcing the message that we'd always, kind of all believed together. And then you get excited. It's like almost like a sports event, you're so
Yeah,
excited. But I have felt since deconstructing, I will tell you, there's 2 times where I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I think I'm feeling that same feeling. And I apologize about my dogs. They're losing their minds today. Um, but like one of them was, and this is weird, like Xavier Rudd, he's a singer. I went to his concert. It was outdoors, right at the mountain, the base of the Utah mountains. It was an absolutely stunning day. And like everybody there loved him, just like I did. And it wasn't worship, it was just a common thread. We were all there to support one of our favorite artists. And I felt it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I like want to raise my hands, not to worship him, but because I felt it. And it was so beautiful. And I went, oh my gosh, Leslie, you don't have to go to church to feel this. There are other ways to do it. And then the other time I felt it, I've been a fitness instructor for over 30 years and I do group fitness. And so I was doing a step class and we were all doing the exact same moves, going in the right, same direct, everything was, and it was like, that felt so intoxicating in a way, like we're all doing the same thing. Like, so I think there's something about movement and adoration. And, when you're in a room with people who love the same things you do, there's, I was on Survivor. There's Survivor fans who get together and watch
yeah,
Survivor. So finding something that you enjoy and then finding other people that enjoy it too.
yeah,
It's crazy how that brings that out.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. I felt the same thing at a U2 concert.
Oh,
This was a couple of years after I'd left the ministry and everything, and my son, as a birthday present, took me to a U2 concert in Toronto, and we were right at the front,
oh my gosh.
right up
Oh,
next to the stage,
I am
and
so jealous right now.
pretty near touched the edge, and that was an amazing, amazing
Right.
night.
Yeah. So, like, finding different interests and
Yeah.
knowing that it's not necessarily, I know we want to call it the Holy Spirit, but I think it's just humanity
Hmm.
feeling a connection of something that they enjoy together. I think there is something very, very magical about that. And I think we call it being moved by the Spirit when we're in church, but I
Uh-huh.
think it's just part of our connection
Yeah.
as humans. You know what I mean?
So, I've experienced the same thing in like a pride parade, or
Mhm.
I went on a Black Lives Matter parade. This is
Yes.
years ago, and um, other events like that where there's a common purpose. And
Mhm.
I hear from people who are going on these marches. I'm in Canada, by the way, so for your listeners, I'm not in the heat of it. I'm just north of the border.
You
But a
lucky.
lot of my friends and everything going on this march is there's a real sense of camaraderie and,
Yeah.
um,
It
you
is
know,
beautiful.
yeah.
I actually went to my first Pride thing, just, I don't know, a few months ago and literally had tears because I
Mhm,
was like, I love these people so much. And
mhm,
I know that they've been through a lot and
mhm,
I want to make it better. And I know I caused a lot of that pain
mhm.
in the past, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah,
So
beautiful.
you do deconstruction coaching.
I
Yeah.
do. I call it life and faith transition coaching. So people going through a big life transition, like moving or empty nesting or midlife, crisis, that too. But the
Right.
majority of my clients are leaving their religion and
Mhm.
they need somebody to walk with them. I
Yeah.
don't tell them what to believe. There is no formula, it's all in them. It's
Yeah.
just getting it out of them. Like sometimes it's so tucked in there and it's underneath all that dogma and indoctrination, but it's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of
It's like they
cool.
say, I have a saying, there's only one way to deconstruct, and that's your way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
just,
There's no right or wrong.
no.
It's
But
like,
I
where do
also
you
think
lean?
there's two kinds of deconstruction.
Oh,
I think there's a theological one, and then there's an ecclesiological one. There's one where you change your beliefs, or question your beliefs, and the other is you change your relationship to the religion or the church or institution.
Yeah.
And so I see a lot of people deconstructing theologically, and it almost always inevitably leads to deconstructing with the church.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people deconstructing with the church, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to deconstruct theologically. So it's really interesting in these two deconstructions happening out there.
Oh, that's enlightening. I hadn't heard that before, but I like that. I think you're right. And I do think that
My theory.
no, it's good. I like it. It actually makes a lot of sense because I think for me, I can identify there were two distinct ways of, doing that. The hard parts, like losing community, losing your certainty, losing, oh, man, that Bible thing. When you talked about it, I felt that viscerally, like in my body. Like I remember that day that I went, what am I going to do if the Bible isn't my truth? You know? And it's so funny because I felt like I was free falling for a while. And then I realized, Leslie, you're not falling. You are literally planted in the soil of God, like of the creator, of the divine. Like now I see God not as this up in the air, like watching us and judging us and angry and ready to throw us into hell if we believe wrong. I see God as the soil that we're all planted in. So I've never been free falling. That was all an illusion. I thought it was true because I lost what my fake sense of, this is my truth, but when I started to realize that, I don't know, I think moving to Utah, meeting a different religion, seeing these people just trying so hard to please God and, doing it through Christ in a different way. I thought they were in a cult. That's what I was told. And then I'm like, wait a minute, if they're in a cult, so am I. Like, wait a minute. We're all doing this. They're saying the same things I'm saying. It was just so enlightening. But all of these things that you go through in the deconstruction, what have you found personally to be the most difficult, and how did you get through it?
I think the most difficult for me is and it's related to what I was saying before. I have always felt that my life is a continuum, and so I see that my roots are in Christianity, and it's my family of origin, and so on. But I'm not going to let that limit me. So I'm going to grow in whatever direction I feel I need to grow in. And for me, it feels like mystical almost to me.
Yeah.
Now, on the one hand, some people are like, "Oh, you're just a big chicken. You can't let go." But for me, it's honoring my roots. I honor my roots and so on. And so I'm not willing to just cut myself off from them.
Yeah.
But I can't let them limit me at the same time. And so that's
good.
That's my but it's difficult though.
Oh, it's
Because
so
I
hard.
always feel like I'm in between with people.
Yeah.
Are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
Like they need to know. Are you a believer or are you an atheist? Make
Well,
up your mind.
it's so black and white for them, and there's so much certainty. And the first questions. Let's talk about the first questions people ask when they find out that you're deconstructing. Do you still believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died for your sins and rose again 3 days later? And they want to know that. They want to know, do you believe that the Bible is the ultimate truth, the Word of God, inerrant? It's the only, is that the our life guidebook or what? They always want to know what I believe, what I believe, what I believe. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they realize how against even the Bible that is. It's not about it's about faith. It's about trust.
You and I both know though, we were there,
I
right?
know.
I empathize with where they're coming from.
100%.
And it's very difficult to change somebody's mind. We don't change our minds unless we want to.
Right.
And so that's same for them. They're not going to change their mind unless they want to, or unless it's some trauma or, whatever. Well, it's always true.
Existential. It's got to be an existential crisis in their own particular life.
It has to be.
It has to be. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Yeah. I remember hearing Rob Bell say, you can't take somebody someplace they're not ready to go. And
Yeah.
I love that. And it's so true. So all you can do is present your truth if they ask. You don't even have to tell them if they don't. You know what I mean? Just say, this is how I see it. And the way I say it now is not like, oh, and this is the truth. It's like, no, this is how I see it now. This is how I see it. I don't know what truth. I think truth is very elusive in a way. Like, I think it's our truth, and I remember being told in Christianity, there is no such thing as our truth or your truth. It is the truth, and it's Jesus. And, it's like, yeah, but like your idea of who Jesus is, your interpretation of who Jesus is what you believe. Like, what if there's a different interpretation, like the LDS or people who believe, who are Catholic, or people, well, they're in a cult. It's like, oh, but we're right. We're the right one, So all of that was like, whew, it got in my head.
It's so hard to answer a binary question with a non-binary answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like when people say, do you believe in God? Well, that has to be unpacked. What do you mean? And then people say, oh, you're just, you're like Jello, hard to nail to the wall, or you're being slippery like a snake, or, whatever. And, I think the big thing with deconstruction is that it demolishes sort of binary thinking. And so that it leaks out into all areas of our life.
Yeah.
Political, sexual, gender, theology, everything. It's very, very difficult. So
Yeah.
not easy.
No, it's definitely not. And it's funny, I don't think anybody in their right mind would choose it. It's like you said, it chooses you. And then when it chooses you, you have a choice. I mean, there's a lot of people, I've even seen people who are like, I'm deconstructing. And then they're like, wait, this is too hard. I'm going back to what I knew. And they go back.
I know people who are like, I can't do this. I really miss the certainty I had with Jesus. And so they go back.
And I get that.
Earlier stage.
Yeah.
First, just a point of encouragement is that for some people, maybe, like I've got 2 speaking gigs coming up, and they're both in churches. So, there are churches that are wanting to hear more about the whole deconstruction thing.
Yes.
Now, and the thing that really was the culmination of my deconstruction happened in 2009, when I had this moment where I just had this sort of flash of, I don't know what you want to call it, insight or something, where I just saw that we are all connected at a deep and fundamental level. Like, we are united. We're one. That I just had this experience and had this kind of vision of oneness. And it was so real, tangible to me, that theological angst that I had been experiencing for decades vanished. It just poof. And I felt peace of mind, and it's never gone away.
I love
what I saw was this oneness, that there's one reality, and everyone has their own spin on it. Everybody has their own interpretation of it. Everybody has their own explanation of it. This includes all religions, including Christianity, the Bible, everything, and every individual. You have your interpretation of what this one reality is, and I have mine. And we have different words to explain it, and philosophies and theologies and all that, but it doesn't change the fact it's one reality. And it was so profound, so that when, we still speak binary when we say believer, atheist. To me, it's just a different spin on one reality. We're together, we're united, we're one. And so believer, atheist, agnostic, scientist, Muslim, Jew, Buddhist, these are all attempts,
perspectives,
to understand reality, of
that
which
is so big.
Only one. So, and I whether you call that God or the universe or whatever, there's no God up there and us down here. It's all one. Everything is one. So that when some mystics talk about unity or oneness with God or whatever, that's what this is, this oneness.
Mhm.
I had a friend once say to me, either all is God or there is no God.
Mhm.
And actually, that's the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
So for me, that moment in 2009 was such a profoundly transformative event for me. It really did bring peace of mind that has never gone away. And I started sharing that very naively on my blog, happy, wanting other people to know about it and sharing it. And I started getting phone calls from head office,
Oh boy.
and that led to my eventual leaving the ministry the next year. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
that it's tough. Yeah, when I tell people we're all one, we're all connected, they're like, "Oh, you know what? In the end times, there's going to be the one world, government, and everybody will think they're one." And I'm like, "Oh God, could we just like stop? Like it's just an interpretation, please." It makes sense to me. It gives me peace. You're right. There's a peace that passes understanding that Jesus talked about, and I think I have it now because I didn't have it before. I was too worried about people going to hell. I was too worried. So much empathy, so much compassion for other people. I'm such a connector. And the thought that anybody I loved or met or enjoyed the company of would eventually burn in hell forever was way too much for me to handle. It was literally emotionally and mentally one of the most difficult seasons of my life. I always tell people, like, I was actually in hell when I believed in it.
yeah.
Now that I don't believe in it in the way that it, is preached in evangelicalism, I just have such a freedom to just be able to connect with people and not worry about their eternity. Like, you're good. It's good. Whatever it is. I don't know if anybody even knows for sure on this world. A lot of people think they do. We don't really know what's next, but faith tells me it's going to be good. And I just have to trust that. That's faith.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that certainty,
Mhm.
Anyway,
I know.
I could talk to you all day. I love this. This is so fun, but I know you have a life that you need to live. So I will let you go, but I have so enjoyed getting to know you, and I love your cartoons. I share them all the time. And
Oh, thank you.
what you're doing is so important, David, and I thank you for doing it, because I know you get a lot of flack from, some people, but there's so much hurt done in the name of God that I feel like you're exposing in such a gentle and loving, and it almost seems innocent way. Like, it's a cartoon, guys. How can we be mad? You know what I mean? Like, it's a
Yeah.
cartoon, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Rainbows. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. But thank you. I mean, I know I'm not the only one who wants to say this to you. Thank you for what you do.
Oh, thanks so much. I really feel though I'm on the brink of I think there's a new level I'm to start working at or something, and because deconstruction has kind of become normal,
Mhm.
and I feel there's something else to be said, and so I'm exploring that right now, but I really do feel that's my next mission, and I'm
Ooh.
still trying to figure it out, so stay tuned.
Oh, that is such a great teaser. I'm so excited. Yeah,
It
I
is.
mean, it never
I
ends.
don't know yet.
Yeah, it never ends, and it evolves just like, our journey to this point. I think having that open hand to, like, whatever the divine wants to bring to you to, bring you peace and enlightenment, I think it's beautiful. I can't wait to see it.
Thanks. Me neither.
Well, thanks, David. And I honor your journey, and I appreciate you making time to just share it with us today.
Thanks so much. Nice to hang out with you.